All right, so enough people asked me to chime in on the Rally A discussion, so I guess I'm going to do that. And this is really my fault. It's what I get for using Twitter, that one time in my whole life. I figured also in putting together this video that I'd use this personal format that I do because this is sort of an offbeat topic and it's more of an editorial than any of my other videos tend to be. So first and foremost, if you have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, then go and hit the link that's about to pop up in the video right here. It's an article that the Artificery posted regarding changes that they'd like to see FFG's organized play format do, including some specific suggestions on how to improve and support the game. And I'm also going to link the article in the comments in case you missed it. Either way, I highly recommend reading it before you even watch this video or Tiny Grimes' response or Honestly Sarcastic's response, as none of this is going to make sense otherwise. And as a disclaimer, I just want to say I do support all the suggestions in the article, but I do have some additional thoughts on them. So, in point number one, what they're asking for is essentially a roadmap for the release cycle of new sets. And this really isn't that far-fetched of a thing to ask from a company that would be trying to promote this as its flagship Star Wars product. The problem is that they don't treat this as a flagship product at all. It almost seems like it's just another game for FFG, and they make it, and if it dies, it dies. And FFG's perception of the game itself, I think, is the real problem here. We love it more than they do because we're the players, and it's always going to be that way for basically any game that isn't the primary cash flow enabler for the company. And I'll talk a little bit more about cash flow later. In regards to roadmaps, well, the best comparison that we're going to get is Magic the Gathering, right? And that's always a difficult comparison because, you're not comparing, apples to oranges per se. What you're doing is you're putting a little leaguer into the majors and you're asking them to bat 200 on the season, and that's just a really tall order. But if we can take a page from WotC's book, then let's take a look at their coming soon page, okay? Where they have published roadmaps for upcoming products for all to see. And for just Magic the Gathering, I'm going to put it right here in the bottom, and here it is right here. And you can see that this is they have releases out right now for 7 products from now, which is April 2018 to August 2018. And these sets are for various formats, and they've even told us how many cards are in each set, the names of the sets. You compare this to FFG's announcement of basically telling us, well, here's the name of the next set, and it's going to release in Q3. And there's the comparison that I made earlier, right? It's very bare bones information. It's incredibly ambiguous. The only precise thing we know is the name of the set, and that doesn't do anything for us, okay? You could just say the next set is coming in Q3, and you could have done the exact same thing. Doesn't matter to us. The fact is, they can do a lot better in this area. It doesn't matter if they want this game to be their number one or even think that it's possible to get there or not. If they're providing a game, then they ought to provide support for that game. And part of that is messaging. And messaging will always inform you as to how much care a publisher or developer has about a game. And having done podcasts in the video game space for many, many, many years and done even press stuff for many, many years at Comic-Cons and stuff like that, it's all true. If a company is passionate about the product, then matches the hell out of it. If they're not, then you don't hear a whole lot about it. So do what you will with that tidbit of information. There's a lot of parallels between video games and CCGs. Point number 2 calls for better prize support. Now, I'm not personally inclined or motivated to go to a tournament or event for the prizes. While I play competitively when I can, I exist more in the semi-hardcore, some call it semi-casual space as a gamer, because at a time that I can commit. So that's going to influence my personal feelings on it. However, I recognize that a ton of players enjoy promos. To look around the content creation community alone and see how many alt art cards get made, given out, put on Patreon tiers, etc., and how much people love those damn spot glasses from the Galactic Qualifiers, it's pretty clear that I'm the one in the minority when it comes to that stuff. People do want better price support. I hear it at my store too. And I wholeheartedly agree that the $15 quarterly kits just aren't cutting it. They did it first, but that time has passed. The game has evolved, and with it, the players have evolved, and they want more. So putting in the effort to show that you want to give more back is another indicator of FFG's perception of Destiny. You know, people love this game and they're growing with it, and they want to see the game grow. And with that is another responsibility to push the organized play forward in a respectable way. You know, I'm not going to get a whole lot much deeper into it. But when it comes down to the organized play, it seems like it's just a convention-based gimmick supported by a secondary market more than basically anything else. Point number 3 is a very interesting one too, and probably the easiest one for FFG to implement like tomorrow. You know, it hasn't made a lot of sense why we don't have a complete starter product. You know, shorting us a character die or two and then another 10 cards on top of that just to get us to buy a second copy of something has always, to me, seemed like an anti-consumer cash grab. You know, nobody likes it. We do it because we want a second copy of Entangle or something. You know, that's what it comes down to. You know, but I think having a complete starter product would at least let you have a closer experience to what Destiny is intended to be. You know, the 2-player game came pretty close to that, but it wasn't complete either. It was a really good shot at it, however. And we saw how powerful at least one of those character pairings had the potential to be. But in response to fixing the problem, and I know that Tiny Grimes touched on this a little bit, it's not the entire fix, you know, but I think it will bring a truer experience of the game to someone who is just starting out, you know, even if it's not some overpowered deck or even well balanced, or it's just plain bad. We know that they can design a starter that at least touches upon most of the mechanics, you know, like ambush and redeploy and giving shields and unblockable damage. We know that they can do that, you know, so why not just go all the way with it and make a fully functional tournament legal deck? I mean, that part right there is part of the problem. You release a product that isn't even legal out of the box as is, and that's not how you sell a product the right way. Even Magic the Gathering has pre-cons that you can literally shuffle up and play. Are they good? Not necessarily, but it's a legal product. Magic Wizards isn't selling you a non-legal product, you know? And Destiny has no such product that is usable straight out of the box. You can't open one booster pack and have a deck. You can't open a starter kit and have a legal deck. Just doesn't exist. Doesn't make any sense at all. It's like buying a board game, but they said, oh, all the little meeple parts that come with it, you got to get them in a different pack. Doesn't make any sense. You know, so I support this point a lot because, again, it makes no logical sense whatsoever. All right, so those are my thoughts on their points, but I had just a few brief ones of my own. You know, maybe they're more like warnings. I don't know, but it's really late at night, and yeah. All right. A lot of what we're asking for is kind of a direct move towards a heavier corporatization of the game, in my opinion. You know, if we want FFG to do things more like WotC, which is kind of the standard that we're holding it to without really saying that directly, then we should be careful what we wish for too. You know, we know for certain that they cannot just modify this game without some input from Disney and, you know, anyone else that might have their hands in it, you know, though. So perhaps we're safe from a lot of the negative effects that could bring with it. Unfortunately, that also puts a lot of these things out of reach for us too, however. You know, I mean, look how long it takes for us to get a rules reference guide update, you know, even for a simple errata change, right? FFG isn't the only party that's providing oversight for this game. You know, there's a lot of hands in this pot, and it remains to be seen whether long-term that's going to be a hindrance or a help. And so far, it's only looked like a hindrance. I mean, we could also talk about, you know, Asmodee and their distribution issues that they've had and how that impacts FFG's product at the end of the day, right? Because most people don't care about Asmodee. You know, they think about FFG. That's the name on the package. Disney, that's the name of the package. They don't care who's shipping the damn boxes. So when Asmodee creates problems for FFG, that's another thing we have to consider. It might be a hindrance. But what I think should ultimately fuel the desire to do better is just one simple business idea. And this one's in response to what Honestly Sarcastic said in his video, kind of, sort of. And this is the idea. It's always cheaper to keep a customer, a current customer, than try to acquire a new one, okay? And they should want to keep us happy. They should want to listen to feedback. WotC, they know this already, and they're very active with their product. You know, they've got a unified landing page for coming soon, like the stuff I showed you earlier. They have a player registry with the DCI. You know, they have a process for getting into the larger tournaments that doesn't involve a roulette wheel and spamming F5 on a web page or crossing your fingers to get tickets. You know, what we have is something that they're almost implying they want the community to grow. They want us to do it for them, you know, but clearly we either need a bit more motivation in that, and I feel like that motivation should come in the form of support from FFG's organized play department directly, and it's really not. You know, that's the relationship that they need to foster, us and organized play. You know, if this game is going to survive. And no, I don't think the game is dying. You know, my local meta is okay. Certainly we've had more players, but certainly we've had far less players. You know, sitting at like 10 to 12 isn't that bad to me, in my opinion. You know, but keep in mind when we talk about foster relationships that those things go both ways. So if we have a love-hate relationship going on with them, at least that means that they'd be listening to us. You know, we can only hope that they hear the good bits through all the noise and something meaningful gets through and they do something about it. All right, folks, I think that wraps it up. You know, thanks for the encouragement to make this video. I got a bunch of people asking me for my opinion on it, and I was kind of in the middle of my work day. Like, I'm thinking here and there about it, but, you know, I didn't have time to organize all my thoughts into bullet points until I got home today, you know. And I don't usually do these dramatic responses, but hey, you know, like, this is the first time for everything, right? So, go and read the article. If you decided to just watch this video anyway, go watch Tiny Grimes' response. Honestly, sarcastic responses at the Hyperloops. Really great videos. I think they made some excellent points. And I hope that this has been helpful to listen to too. And I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.